Daddy by Sylvia Plath. You do not do any more, black shoe, in which I have lived like a foot. For 30 years, poor and white, barely daring to breathe or a chew. Daddy, I have had to kill you. You died before I had time, marble heavy, a bag full of God, ghastly statue with one gray toe, big as a Frisco seal, and a head in the freakish Atlantic, where it pours bean green over blue, in the waters off beautiful Nauset. I used to pray to recover you. Ah, do. In the German tongue, in the Polish town, scraped flat by the roller of wars. But the name of the town is common. My Polak friend says there may be a dozen or two. So I never could tell where you put your foot, your root. I never could talk to you. The tongue's stuck in my jaw. It's stuck in a barbed wire snare. Eek. Eek, eek, eek. I could hardly speak. I thought every German was you, and the language obscene. An engine, chuffing me off like a Jew to Dachau, Auschwitz, Belsen. I began to talk like a Jew. I think I may well be a Jew. The snows of the Tyrol, the clear beer of Vienna are not very pure or true. With my gypsy ancestress and my weird luck, and my Tarok pack, I may be a bit of a Jew. I have always been scared of you, with your Luftwaffe, your gobbledygoo, and your neat mustache, and your Aryan eye, bright blue. Panzerman, oh, you, not God, but a swastika so black no sky could squeak through. Every woman adores a fascist, the boot in the face, the brute heart of a brute like you. You stand at the blackboard, Daddy, in the picture I have of you, a cleft in your chin instead of your foot. But no less a devil for that. No, not any less the black man who bit my pretty red heart in two. I was 10 when they buried you. At 20 I tried to die and get back to you. I thought even the bones would do. But they pulled me out of the sack and they stuck me together with glue. And then I knew what to do. I made a model of you. A man in black with a Mein Kampf look and a love of the rack and the screw. And I said, I do. So, Daddy, I'm finally through. The black telephone's off at the root. The voices just can't warm through. If I've killed one man, I've killed two. The vampire who said he was you and drank my blood for a year. 7 years, if you want to know. Daddy, you can lie back now. There's a stake in your fat black heart, and the villagers never liked you. They're dancing and stamping on you. They always knew it was you. Daddy, you bastard, I'm through. Hello, my name is Kelly, and this is my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. It's probably the darkest moment we've had on this channel so far. I just want to do a brief video, and mainly just wanted to share that poem with you because we read, Brian from Bookish and I are doing a Poetry for Beginners project, and we read several poems by Sylvia Plath. Some of them I didn't connect with. I didn't understand, or yeah, for whatever reason they weren't for me. But that poem, there's just something so powerful about it, and you can say it so many different ways. I tried to memorize it for all of you, but I just couldn't quite pull it off, and I still feel like I didn't give it justice. There are readings of Sylvia Plath, of that poem. I'm not sure exactly how they exist, but I will link to one of the videos that's the poem with her voice over it, and I definitely encourage you to check that out, because there is something really powerful about hearing it in her voice. I think it's a poem that you could just scream with rage through the whole way through, or be really mad in parts and other parts a little bit more flippant, and in trying to memorize it, I really feel like I learned a lot about the poem, that the sounds, brute, boot, foot, root is just used over and over again. I'm sure in reference in part to her father. And I don't think that this poem is just about her father. So her father was lived in a Polish town that spoke German, and so hence in the German tongue in the Polish town. So, but anyway, he was diabetic, and he had a sore on his toe and kind of just ignored it. And unfortunately, as a result of that, he died when she was 8. So in this poem, she turns not only her father, but also Ted Hughes, her husband that she's just broken up with, into monsters. They become Nazis, and she turns herself into a Jew. And it was just fascinating memorizing it, really seeing the structure of the poem and the way she pulls the reader through it. And there are things that I read out loud to you, but if you read it on the page, you would see, certain words that are capitalized, where the breaks are in the poem, but they're not necessarily where you break when you're reading it out loud, that kind of thing. So she lived from 1932 to 1963, and unfortunately is one of the poets that we have lost by suicide. I think she is mainly known for The Bell Jar, her one novel. And this had been published along with this collection of poetry before she died. But in the months leading up to her death, she, like I said, she broke up with her husband, Ted Hughes, who was super famous, and he was, I believe, the poet laureate of England. And in a weird twist of fate, she is definitely more famous than he is now over the passage of time. But these are the poems that she was writing before she died by suicide. I just wanted to mainly just share that one poem with you. Is it biographical? In parts, yes. In other parts, no. But I am really fascinated about the anger and the sounds that she creates. In addition to turning these two men into Nazis, then there's almost this like Frankenstein kind of part where, they pulled me out of the sack and stuck me together with glue. And then, so she's kind of put back together, and then in turn she creates this other monster, in the image of her father, a man in black with a Mein Kampf look and a love of the rack and the screw. And I said, I do. So definitely a reference to Hughes and her troubles with him. And so she's very angry. And I did want to point out just a couple other things too about Sylvia Plath. She was not, she was not known in the poetry world when she died. And I think it's very sad that she chose to end her life. because I think it would have been fascinating to see what an older Sylvia Plath would be writing about. So I feel sad for the world that we don't know what else she would have gone on to create. There are other collections of her poems that were published after her death, but this one is really, in my opinion, this collection is the biggie. So yeah, there's just a tiny bit about Sylvia Plath. If you loved the poem, if you hated the poem, tell me what you think of it, what your response to it was. If you've read it before, if you have another Sylvia Plath poem that you think is amazing and you're really inspired by, I would love to hear that as well. So thank you for, again, joining Brian from Bookish and I on our Poetry for Beginners journey. And so we'll be back next month with another poet and talk about some other things. So remember to be kind to yourself, to be kind to others, and take care of BookTube. I'll talk to you soon.